Rahman Rahim. Honorable Justice Khalilur Rahman Saab, Dr. Muhammad Aslam, Madam Ruxana, Dr. Yahya, Mr. Abid, and honorable Sharia scholars, academicians, practitioners, bankers, my dear students, and fellow colleagues, Assalamu alaikum. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be here among the very distinguished and respectable audience to speak about the various initiatives which the regulator is taking to promote Islamic banking and discuss on some of the points which the doctor has raised about the riba-free banking. And particularly this is very important, that is the time is very important, particularly when we reach out at one level, that is we have achieved a 15% market share of the banking industry. And now the opponents are, I may call them opponents of the Islamic banking. They are challenging about the role of the Islamic banking towards the poverty alleviation, social welfare. What role does Islamic banking play in promoting the economic social well-being? And this topic which the UMT have selected, I think is the need of an hour to work and discuss and deliberate on this topic about the role of the Islamic banking or the overall economic development towards the human well-being and the role of Islamic banking, how does it links with it. So to start with, I would just take you a brief about the how we proceed and in what policy direction the central bank is going. And particularly, it's very much important for the students here that, as you all are aware, the State Bank of Pakistan, right from late, because Justice Khalil is here, right, he has a lot of contribution in that tenor when we started Islamic banking back in the 80s, and the basic infrastructure was developed and the financial models were presented, or you may say all the Sharia contracts that on the Mudaraba, Murabaha, Ijara, all those were prepared and approved by the Sharia boards. And then that system actually, that infrastructure actually couldn't work. The reason being that the underlying system weaknesses were there. There was no Sharia compliance structure, there was no Sharia boards in the banks, there were no Sharia inspections, there were no Sharia external audit. There was lack of awareness among the people, not at the supply side as well as the demand side as well. So again, that Islamic bank model, which we relaunched in 2002, that is parallel to the vis-a-vis the conventional banking system, that is the interest-based system. Now that conventional banking system, it is, of course, it's very hard to get the grab of the industry share of the conventional banking system. But Alhamdulillah, first license was issued to the Mizan Bank. And then currently, as I'm talking now, we have around 22 financial institutions, that is the banks, we call them IBIs, are providing Sharia compliant banking services in Pakistan. They have got the presence in 115 districts, and they have got more than 2,860 branches. And besides, there are 1,300 additional windows, counters in the conventional bank providing those services. We have recently licensed ZTBL, that is the Zarit Rakyati Bank, to start Sharia compliant businesses. So they have also started initially with the 5 branches. So, and particularly the recent result, the December, yesterday I have seen the result that during the last quarter, the Islamic finance, that is the loan portfolio, if you compare vis-a-vis the conventional banking, though we have got a 15% market share, but in the last quarter, the total private sector growth, the 35%, around 35% market share in the lending to the private sector has been grabbed by the Islamic banking institutions. So it's a great achievement, I think, that is right from starting from the scratch, we are reaching to a certain matured level. And now it is systematically important, the Islamic banking system, and then we have to look at, when we consider any policy at the central bank, we look back at where this, what about the Islamic banking institution. We have to look for each and every policy document for the Islamic banking institution to give them the way out about whether all the Sharia essentials have been addressed or not. In the central bank, Dr. Yahya have pointed out a very important point about the way forward for the Islamic banking. The way forward for the Islamic banking, that is, we have got in the State Bank of Pakistan the regulations. Almost all the regulations which are applicable to the conventional banking are applicable on the Islamic banking institutions, except whether it's the Basel, whether it's the capital requirement, whether it's the inspection related or the policy related. However, if there are any Sharia related instructions that are to be issued by the Islamic Banking Department after the consent of our Sharia Advisory Committee at the central bank. There was another question regarding the whether there is a central board at the State Bank of Pakistan or there is a need for the central boards at the banking institution level. We are one of the country where we have got a very comprehensive Sharia governance framework in place. We have got the Sharia board in each and every bank, and there are 3 minimum Sharia board members. One is the resident Sharia board member, and the 2 others are the member of the board. And then we have got the Sharia compliance department, then Sharia audit department, the internal to the bank, and then simultaneously we have got the Sharia advisory committee at the central bank level. It is mandatory for each and every bank to conduct the external Sharia audit through a chartered accountant firms. Now, the issue comes here about which we can debate about, is what about the harmonization? That is, every bank have got the Sharia boards, so they are coming up with the products. So, is there any harmonization or standardization, or the regulator have gave them a kind of a free hand, that is, whatever products they can launch? Now, in this respect, there's a procedure which is established at the central bank that every product which is being launched by an Islamic banking institution, basically they have to submit it within 30 days before launch. And if we make no objection on it, if we feel that it's a Sharia compliant, it is standardized, or we try to make it standardized vis-a-vis the other IBIs, and then we don't object anything and they launch the product. If we feel that there's an issue, then we take it to the Sharia advisory committee, and then they guide us, and then based on the guidance, we guide the IBI. Now, there is a bit, because we are at the initial stage of growing Islamic banking, so there are, of course, merits and demerits. Of course, innovation will kill if we go for the centralized board, but if it's because once we go for the centralized board, there's a time delay involved in approving the products, because the banks have their own, there won't be any board at the bank level. But another issue is that the capacity of the Sharia scholar, because existing requirement is around 60 Sharia board members, around 22, so there's around 60 Sharia board members to be in the IBIs. But currently we have got we call them experienced Sharia scholars. It's a dearth of that. We have around 25 to 30 Sharia scholars who have got a banking experience and knowledge and capacity. So we are going on a multi-pronged strategy. We have established these centers. You already know that Center of Excellences. We have established one at the IBA, one at the LUMS, and one at the IMS Sciences to address those training and capacity building issues. And we are working with the IBI industry as well. We have got the separate National Institute of Banking and Finance subsidiary, State Bank subsidiary, and we are conducting the different modular program for the Sharia scholars. The Sharia scholars who are working in the banks, as well as the Sharia scholars who are just past their final year graduations in Dars Nizami or the Shahad Alamiya and different Sharia courses. So we provide, with the IBI support, financial support, we are conducting the certificate courses at the Karachi and the Islamabad, both the south and north of the Pakistan, for developing the capacity of Sharia scholars on the Islamic banking or the Sharia banking, and so that they can join the Sharia boards, because currently there's a conflict of interest, because 2 or 3 banks, every Sharia scholar is not been restricted to a single bank. So we are working on that. Coupled with that, I think most of you probably not know that our Sharia Advisory Committee, first time in history of Pakistan, has got the representation from all school of thoughts. We have got the Ahl-Sunnat Sharia scholar, we have got the Deoban, and we have got the Ahl-Tashi. So we have got the all school of thoughts present in our Sharia board, so that they can represent their different school of thoughts, and we go to the awareness session in the different cities of Pakistan. So we take them along. And now we have also started another initiative about reaching out to the khatibs of masajids, that's the mosques, who are the opinion makers, because in Pakistan, everybody, when take a kind of a guidance, he reach out to the imam of masjid about seeking guidance. So it is the need of an hour to aware those imams of mosque about what about this all riba-free banking, Islamic banking or Sharia banking, so that they aware, so that they can guide the people. Because one of the major obstacles which we are facing currently, there are two major obstacles which the Islamic banking industry is facing right now. One is on the awareness and capacity building, and besides that, there's the liquidity management issues of the Islamic banking industry at the regular interval. There's a sukuk program, so that they can deploy their liquidity there. Our last CAP study, we are repeating that, which conducted survey on around 10,000 household units. It goes to, which included all the households, that is the proprietorship concerns, the retail and corporates, and everyone was there. So all people, when asked about the question, do you need Islamic banking? They say, yes, we need Islamic banking. When we pose another question, do you know what is Islamic banking? They say, no, we don't know. And majority of them says no. So it is, and I'm dead sure that in this hall, if the people who are related to Islamic banking, they are studying, probably many of you don't know about what actually the differences are. If I ask you to just to tell me the 5 major differences between the conventional banking and the Islamic banking, probably most of you can't. So the reason here is that it is a big challenge. We are working with Islamic banking industry to use all the channel of whether it's FM radio or the TV clips or the social media or the print media, so that we have got a plan about reaching out initially to around 1 million people. Shortly we are launching a program which include all these segments, and couple that in addition to that, we will also be launching about the social media campaign also, which will reach out to the masses. So coming back to these are the initial thoughts about the Islamic banking, and we are now currently working on the standing facility. We have recently launched, probably you must have heard about we have issued the Sharia compliant alternative version of our refinance schemes. So it will also provide a much needed support to the Islamic banking industry, because they are not at the disadvantage. We as a regulator have got a firm belief that we should provide a level playing field to the Islamic banking industry. Because they should not be, because people are asking that it's 95% Muslim population, why should the Islamic banking at the disadvantage? So they must be at the level playing field vis-a-vis the conventional banking. So with that objective, we have developed the 2 strategic plans, 5-year strategic plans. We are now finalizing taking all industry alongside a 7-year roadmap for the Islamic banking in Pakistan. That would be launched in the March, inshallah. And under that, there are various headline targets we would be achieving, and we are taking to the next level the Islamic banking industry from here. Coming back to the social welfare and Islamic human well-being and the role of the Islamic banking in this front, I think whether it's the sustainable development goals of the 15 and 30, and the government of Pakistan is working on that, whether it's National Financial Inclusion Program of the government of Pakistan, it's basically Islamic banking, IBIs or the Islamic banking or the Islamic finance have to play a very critical role. There's a greater role for the Islamic banking industry, because in the larger context, Islamic banking is kind of a cross-cutting theme. It cross-cuts, whether it's SME finance, whether it's corporate finance, whether it's retail banking, it's a cross-cutting theme. So to reach out to the poorest of the poor, we have to provide access to finance, that is to the underserved areas, or where those areas where there's not the bankable areas. So with that perspective, we are working on the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, and the State Bank of Pakistan is leading that. And we are expecting to reach out to the 17% of the private sector credit for the SME sector. We have already achieved a target of 1 trillion disbursement to the agriculture sector, and we are targeting it to the 1.5 trillion by 2023. And government have also launched a 100 days program, and you must have gone through that. And in that program, there are all themes available. That's agriculture is there, SME is there, and low-cost housing is there. And there are a clear target set out in that strategy paper. And Islamic banking being the cross-cutting theme is expecting, and we are working to have got a major share or a major contribution in the low-cost housing as well as the agriculture as well as the SME. Because these are the areas where you can play a pivotal role in enhancing the life of the people who are living below the poverty line. And the housing, which is the low-cost housing, we have around 60% financing in the housing portfolio is Islamic. In all the housing mortgage portfolio, which is around 90 billion, around 60% it is through Islamic banking institutions. So I'm hopeful that by taking the Sharia scholars on board, by the IBIs on board, and by the industry and academia on board, we will be achieving our targets and take the Islamic banking industry to the next level. And in the end, I would congratulate the UMT for having this 4th conference, and State Bank of Pakistan assure its full support wherever, whether it's the University of Management Technology Lahore or whoever here, the participants, because when the term comes Islamic banking, everybody looks at what's the state bank. Because here in Pakistan, Islamic banking is being tagged with the State Bank of Pakistan. And we have also engaged our lawyer for the riba case, which is being heard at the Federal Shariat Court as well, along with the government. But so I assure you of our full support. I tell the people and the bankers, whether your PUC or a paper or a problem or any kind of issue which you face in any department of the State Bank of Pakistan, if you are Islamic banking institution, just approach the Islamic Banking Department of State Bank of Pakistan. We will help you out to resolve that issue, and we can arrange a meeting with the relevant department for you. So similarly, if you need any awareness campaign, if you need any kind of Islamic banking branch to be established in your area where you think that Islamic banking branch is not there, if you are a college or a school or a university, you want to build the capacity or aware the people, whether it's the faculty or the students, just write to us, the Islamic Banking Department of State Bank of Pakistan. We are here to help you out, to reach out to the people. And if you have any idea or any other idea or a concrete plan which you think that it is not being practiced, or it would be better to adopt that practice so that the Islamic banking grow further, can facilitate us, we will also welcome that. Thank you once again. Thank you.